So today, we are getting an opportunity to deep dive into the how and why of this pandemic with Mr. Kartikeya Gupta, taking you to a brief introduction of our speaker of the day. Kartikeya Gupta is a 29-year-old mechanical engineer and entrepreneur and is specially trained multiple times in solar energy from Germany under Wolfgang Scheffler, inventor of Scheffler solar reflector. He is founder of Energify, a firm which has built many solar and rainwater harvesting projects in and around Jaipur. He is associated with Vatsalya School as Director STEM and has built a state-of-the-art science center for underprivileged children and also built solar infrastructure along with water recharging systems to make a carbon neutral model village in Achrol near Jaipur. He is a passionate educator, environmentalist, and amateur astronomer who thoroughly loves physics and teaching the next generation, and has built a team of young junior scientists under his coaching, while also having presented original research multiple times internationally. A national Surya Mitra trainer across 6 solar fields, he has been recognized by the government of Rajasthan since 3 years as a leading energy conservationist. Kartikeya enjoys global mentorship of accomplished scientists, including Nobel laureate Francis Arnold, leading biochemist Pamela Jochman, and physicist Jainendra K. Jain. He is also a self-trained drummer and has performed across the nation. So this was about Mr. Kartikeya, and it's a brief information to you all that we will have a question answer session after Mr. Kartikeya's session gets over. Okay, so you can wait for that time. Even if you have any query in between, then kindly write in the chat box. Okay, so there's a saying, every day is Environment Day. So save your day by saving your environment. Happy World Environment Day to one and all present here. Over to you, Mr. Kartikeya.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mahima ji. It is a big honor to be able to showcase this study, compile research to all of you. And actually, regarding Corona, I think everyone has been more or less disturbed in a way since more than a year now. And it has taken a toll in some way on each of us. For me personally, I mean, my parents were stuck in UK, and there was a sense of fear since the first wave, in the second wave too, and then young people like myself in my age range, they were also really concerned about their careers and their futures. And then when you have ambitious ambitions for big projects and projects where you are actually getting involved with community, things like Corona force you to think. So I have been thinking since a year. I've been reading a lot. I've been in touch with so many people, and I was fortunately able to relate and link some things which are in our control, which lead to pandemics like this, which we can change. So we are going for a solution-oriented approach through some information. Let's start. First of all, a heartfelt salute to all COVID warriors, all the doctors who are on the ground treating people. And we have doctors among us also. They have risked their lives. They've risked the lives of their first loved ones also in many ways, and they've kept themselves isolated from them and just taken a big toll for the nation because of their duty, responsibility, and moral sense. So a big thanks to all the medical staff, medical team, medical personnel, all the doctors of all entire nation and entire world for that matter. Okay, certain people who I have been in touch with, not all of them, but I have taken references. Some of them I have been in touch with. And these are the people who have given me a source for a lot of data of my study. The photo you see here is of a guy, Jeremy Fenolin, I forget the surname. He is a VIT alumni engineer who created the website covid19india.org and as a non-profit in the first wave. And and this website has been an incredible source for studying so many trends. So I've put his picture over here. I am in touch with him too. And then Professor Pramila Jorkman, she's a leading biochemist who I've Skyped with many times, and she has helped me link certain things about the virus and how this has come to be. And all these other people have contributed really greatly to my study. Let's start. Okay, before I start, important disclaimer. We do not voice any opinion regarding any conspiracy theory that virus has come from a certain region, certain nation, or some political agenda, or someone created it. We're not going to go over there. We're not going to have any discussion regarding that also. So, and the other thing is that we're not offering any medical advice. Please trust your doctor. They know you much better than any general well-being or Google or anything. Okay, a brief outline of what we'll cover. What we really want, mathematical similarity between COVID-19 and climate change, how and why of the pandemic, correlation with the climate change, what we can do as an individual and as a society, and what's still avoidable. This picture should speak volumes to each of us. See, we only see immediate danger. We often neglect certain factors which are happening right under our noses. So we are seeing this wave, COVID-19, and we are saying be sure to wash your hands and all will be well. But this artist created a very good picture over here. We are not seeing the long-term effect. Okay, recession, maybe we can see a bit. But climate change is a big wave, really big wave, which can cause every year to be like Corona. Fortunately, we can still control it. Let's start. What do we truly want? We want to be together. Yes, we are a social animal. We want to be happy. We want to take care of each other. And we want to see these things happening, across cultural, globalized connection, happy, healthy. And we don't want anything bad for anyone. That's a basic core nature. But what has happened? Let's compare a graph. This peak everywhere, not only in India, everywhere, this is the real peak curve which has happened in case of COVID. And this has been the healthcare system capacity. That is why so many people have lost their lives. But if you compare a similar graph, this is what is actually happening since many years, more than 100 years now. And we are going about business as usual. And the climate action, the ideal curve, which should be, well, as per the Paris Agreement, that's far from reality right now. Similar curve. Another similar curve. As per our current resources availability, we are using 1.7 number of planets. We live on one planet. Last time I checked, that's Earth. And we are using 1.7 planets. We do not currently live on Mars. We do not have resources of Mars. But we are using our national capital and our international capital at a much higher rate than what we can sustainably do. We need to live off the interest. This is something like I think business persons can really relate to. Slow and steady growth is really good. Fast booms may not be able to sustain themselves. There is a lot at stake suddenly. Now, business is a different scenario, but in terms of climate, we cannot, really hire more people to just fix the climate. And this creates a positive feedback loop. Now, a positive feedback loop, mathematically, it's positive, but there's nothing positive for us. If the glaciers melt, there is more sunlight absorbed, there is more heating taking place, the Earth's capacity to absorb CO2 goes down, and most trees alive today may not be able to survive in 40 years, according to University of Tasmania leading biology scientist, plant scientist, Tim Brodribb. And this has happened already in many species. The bat picture here will be relevant as I explain more. See, this has been the average temperature trend as per 5 sources. 5 sources: NASA, Hadcrut, NOAA, Japan, Berkeley Earth. Now, these are spread across the globe. So if you say it's a biased data, there are a lot of data sources. And then they all see a similar projection in the average temperature. Now, 1 degree Celsius average growth may not seem much like this, just 1 degree Celsius is fine. But this is average. It means up to 8, 9 degrees, 10 degrees hotter summers in localized regions, including North India, including Middle East, including South America. But you see a matching graph now. Not exactly matching, but these are all diseases which we did not know about 100 years back. Nipah, Ebola, SARS, MERS, Marburg, swine flu, bird flu, Zika, and there are more. In the last 100 years, diseases have spiked. Of course, population has also spiked. Proportionately, there are more chances for disease. There are more detection rates, agreed. But then there are more mutations. Diseases are reaching places where they did not used to previously. Let's focus on COVID-19 now. On 31st March 2020, and this was the first article, one of the first article I had read when the first wave hit. Sonia Shah, a science journalist, she reported that 150 species are going extinct every day. And the species that are remaining have to squeeze into tiny fragments of wildlife habitat that we leave for them. Okay, so we encroach the forest, the natural ecosystems. And when you cut down a forest where bats live, they don't go away. They come into contact with us. They come into suburban areas. They come roost on the back of your house. And then there are more chances of contact with bats. Ebola officially is confirmed. Ebola started like this. A 2-year-old child from Africa was playing outside, had contact with a bat, could not make it. Ebola is 90% fatal, but not as contagious as COVID-19, thank God. But then this was a result of an unnatural human and bat contact. You don't put polar bears and lions in the same cage. There are reasons for that. Another, Lyme disease in US. If there is someone from US over here, I think they would know about it. Lyme disease is caused by ticks. There are ticks which certain ticks cause disease to dogs, and then Lyme disease is a kind of a tick which causes diseases in us. So we cut down forests where opossums live, these creatures who used to eat 50 ticks a day. Only rats were remaining to eat ticks, and they used to eat 10 ticks a day. So after they are full, they'll not eat anymore. And the ticks get a chance to spread and then infect humans. Again, not really natural contact. And then there were so many protocols in US about how to avoid this. And We have protocols in COVID-19. We have face mask, social distancing. So you have tick protocols over there. In Malaysia, Nipah started. People just built on pig farms, cut down the areas where bats live. They actually got a host species. I'll come to how virus cannot really often jump from directly bats from humans. It is possible in case of rabies and Ebola, but mostly it is not. But this jumped to pigs, and then pigs have an even more similar DNA and RNA structure to humans, and it was able to mutate to humans. Nipah virus. Human Hendra virus, same case. Just cut down the forest where bats live, and then again human contact. Okay, I'm going to just pause for a bit over here. Bats are unique creatures. We'll talk about bats. Bats are mammals. We are mammals. Okay, the mother feeds the young and they give birth directly. They don't lay eggs, and they are the only flying mammals. So bats have a very unique mammalian body. When they fly, their body generates temperatures up to 41 degrees Celsius. That's about 106 Fahrenheit. So we don't get a fever of 106 Fahrenheit. That's very severe. What has happened is that because of its flight, the DNA repair cells, the RNA and DNA repair cells of bats are active, and the immune response is not as high as other mammals. Actually, here is a catch. Oftentimes, the COVID fatality happens because of the cytokine storm, which is the over-induced immune response. Our white blood cells just go into overdrive, push our body, and that we cannot then defeat the bacteria. In terms of bats, the bat and the virus have both adapted to each other. A virus, if we have all read a lesson in our young classes in 6th, 7th, that a virus is actually not a living creature. It needs a host. Now, bats are perfect hosts for virus now. Because of the higher temperature, the virus has slowly become resistant to a meager human fever. 102, 101, no problem. And bats have these lower average immune response, so they have adapted to viruses. And then they roost in groups. The bats, they hang in caves in groups. But if we say a solution that let's just kill all bats, that's not going to work. Because the biggest killer for us is not bat. It's here, right here. Mosquitoes. They kill more people than any other animal in the world throughout every year, each year. And a bat can consume up to 1,000 mosquitoes in 1 hour. They are pest controls. There was a study in US which says that bats are $4 billion worth of pest control. And why the mango and banana is here? Because honestly, bats are needed for these. They pollinate these plants. And without pollination of these plants, we don't have these fruits. There are about 500 species which only bats pollinate. So we can't get rid of bats. Then there will be other consequences. Honeybees, bats, and many insects, hummingbirds and other birds. These are delicate balances of nature. We just can't get rid of them. This is what we do. Now, for sensitive viewers, I had many more images, but I did not put them. So I am showing bovines, cows. But we give opportunity to microorganisms to, for them it's a heaven. Wow, crowding, no distancing. It's an opportunity. If you have 10 animals with you living in a farm, a very low probability that one will get sick. And if it does get sick, you can take care of it. But if you have 1,500 in a factory and even one is sick, that's a catastrophe. And then there are inhumane conditions here where animals are, just put racked on top of each other, and the droppings from the above one is coming down, and it's heartbreaking. If you have the heart, please do see some documentaries. I have many things, I have many links, you can ask later from me. But it's heartbreaking, and it's not natural. You'll get a vibe that it's not correct. Hunting an animal and killing it and cooking it and consuming it is a different case altogether. But over here, what we are doing for mass consumption, for mass profits, and these are short-term profits, believe you me, it's not natural. Now, virulent avian influenza, don't get confused. That's actually a name for bird flu. But these hosts are also good carriers for certain bird flus, which don't affect them. H5N1 is one such example. This is the official report of how the predecessor of SARS-CoV-2, the current COVID causing virus, spread. A fishmonger, a Chinese fishmonger who was sick, he infected 30 plus others, which resulted in more than 10% fatality out of 8,000 cases throughout the world. Now, the R naught, the spreading factor, was much less than SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-2 is less lethal, but spreads more quickly. This one could not spread as fast, but still airborne. And this one actually had a much higher fatality rate. These are the areas where the samples were collected. Red is where the samples were collected, this whole hallway. And then these are the confirmed secondary cases whom he got in contact with. You see, one is in the hallway and one is in the lift. Why lift is of importance, we'll come to that. Okay. Now, by now, I think you may have realized that there is a possibility of pathogens and virus making a jump from species using hosts and crowded and unsanitary conditions. So the initial suspected source was this wet market. It is a real snapshot of the Wuhan wet market. And these are the animals which were sold there. So, I mean, you can see so many of these animals do not ever occur in nature together. They don't. So I just wanted to show you this. And then this had been the starting point of this disease. Climate change. Let's see. Okay. The environment is the only thing which we can do something about, especially over here. Virulent pathogen, susceptible host, they will meet. They will definitely meet unless the environment is unfavorable. And that's what we can control. That's something which we have artificially amended and created to a big extent. This triangle can make or break a disease. And see, evolution of future viruses and epidemiology. I'll just share a fun fact, or not a fun fact, but a fact. Viruses are not all bad. Every moment, we are inhaling a lot of viruses. There are a lot of viruses around. In fact, according to one scientific theory, the initial cyanobacteria, the first starting point of life was evolution when a virus infected a bacteria and caused the DNA to evolve. So in a way, we may all be descendants of a virus or bacteria. We are definitely descendants of bacteria, but this is nature's way of evolution too, in a way. We try to look at the larger picture. We're coming back to the current context, but it's very, strange, but viruses are not all bad. This is another artificial environment which we have created. Pollution is an enemy to all of us, and we have all become passive smokers. I will repeat that. We have all become passive smoker. If you live in the city, you are a passive smoker. Simple, as simple as that. The lungs of this healthy pink lung. This is by Lung Care Foundation. This is a Delhi-based organization. Healthy pink lung. This is a real image. This is a non-smoker, mid-40s man, and this is a 14-year-old boy in Delhi. These deposits can't ever be removed and cause permanent damage. So if a lung functioning at 50% capacity, that is CORAD's 3 score already. CORAD's is a technical term, the doctors would know it, but if it's already working at 50% capacity, you have only 50% remaining to infect for COVID and only 50% remaining for us to fight. So the oxygen saturation is at more risk. At the right, this is a compilation of numerous studies which have conclusively said pollution favors infection. Average 5 to 10% increase in infection, up to 20% increase in hospitalization because of pollution. And we can see trends. Okay. We'll look at some trends, and hopefully you should be able to relate something. 6th May 2021, it was my birthday, but not a good day for India. This was the peak of the active cases, of the new cases in India. 8 Jan 2021 was the peak of new cases in UK. Let's see another graph. This is the average temperature of Delhi, and this is the average temperature of London. Now, our behavior changes in the weather. That's true. Everyone will agree. When there's summer, we all tend to pack together in closed indoor environments with the air conditioner on, which recirculates the air. We're going less outside. We're getting less vitamin D, and we are exhausted. This trend, this was at the lowest point when Indians were venturing out in open air, meeting in open air. I mean, this is just trend. And then here in UK, in London, where we see the temperature of average only 5 degrees is there in winters, and then you have up to almost 20 degrees, 18 degrees, pleasant with sunlight here in summer. You see a downfall in the summer, and here again there was a downfall in the summer, and then when winters came, a steep rise. Human behavior is governing it. Our behavior. How so? Let's see. Let's go to the below image over here. Another Vox journalist, I don't remember the name, sprayed aerosol, you know, the sprays, normal sprays, mist sprays on her shirt under focus light, inside and outside. Inside, there were almost 15 times more particles. At a 3 feet distance, she did. Outside, there was so less. And 15 is just an underestimation, as per her words. Outside over here, you see the virus is actually, as I said, virus is not a living thing. It needs a host. It needs a favorable environment. It does not last long. It's not inside a bat's body. It's not inside someone's body. There it can. Without a living host, a virus does not last long. There are certain viruses which can last longer. I mean, there is a canine distemper virus which happens to dogs, which can last in fecal matter for up to 10, 15 days, provided the right temperature and environment. But generally, viruses don't last long. Outside, a virus is being bombarded by sunlight, by humidity, by the air blowing. It's not just, it's going to come in through your nose and infect you. There's no need to be so scared. But indoors, without ventilation, you are actually recirculating the air. Fan coil, air conditioner, fan coil, and the ventilation system. These all drag droplets. You know, if there is an air conditioner right behind me, for example, that green shell, there's an air conditioner. So if the computer I'm looking at is a person and I have COVID and the air is going this way, it will drag the droplet. The red is where the droplet has the highest velocity and intact form. Yellow is the least velocity and less intact form. So the viral load is also important here. According to Wikipedia, there are at least 1,000 viral particles are required to infect. So there is a huge difference between inside and outside. And this correlates with the previous graphs we saw over here. Just straightforward data right in front of you. What can we do? I would say trust vaccine. Definitely trust vaccine. See, the whole globe is working towards it. I'm not talking about any political agenda. There was an article I read that some XYZ person, I'll not name him, is actually trying to control the world, and there will be a nano robots will come inside us, and then they will control. They'll control them. I mean, I had the first shot about a month back, and I'm probably in my own control. But trust vaccine. I know scientists, and I know certain, lab assistants and other people who have put in, hard work of nights and nights to making these vaccines. And there are many vaccines which work according to different mechanisms, mRNA, inactivated virus. We can discuss that later, but all vaccines work. Trust vaccines. See, this is a graph by survey by Nature magazine, and people have started trusting vaccine, which is good. Okay. Now, there is a sure shot way to not get COVID. 100% sure shot. I'm in a room right now. I mean, it's an office. It's a closed environment, and I can stay here. I can arrange all my basic needs, and I don't put in any touch with anyone. I just breathe air in the room and then get all the food and, manage everything without any touch and just sanitize it. I'll be 100% safe, 100%, and I will not catch COVID. But can you do this? We can't. And then there's a 10 scale. You go into a crowd, people are not wearing masks and coughing. You don't want to do that also. Rajiv Chowk, Delhi, I remember that. But imagine Rajiv Chowk, everyone is coughing. You can't do that. You have to be as practical as possible. And you each have to find your own balance. There is a sweet point somewhere, and we'll try to find that. This is a graph by CDC, and Dr. Fahim Yunus tweeted this. There are certain activities you can do if you're unvaccinated, and there are certain activities you can't. And you see the outdoor and indoor thing. Even recently, finally, the government of India also released guidelines about ventilation. I think it was about 20-25 days back. It did, I think, before also, but these guidelines were much more proper and well written. But this is what the CDC says. You can have this graph later, no problem. This is a model which I labeled as DMDV, reduced probability, and everything is probability. We just take chances. We are taking chance by living. This wall can collapse on me. It's a chance. A meteor can strike you. It's a chance. We just reduce the probability of the things which we can control. If a meteor strike were to happen, we cannot control it. So DMDV model is distance, mass, duration, ventilation. 4 factors in your favor. Duration is inversely proportional. The less the duration, the better. All other things are important. I'll place this short clip. No mask, 1 layer of cloth mask, 2 cloth mask, and then surgical mask, also N95. So just see under focused light, these are certain wavelengths of light where you can see virus particles. How much we spray while talking, the speaker will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just see this. Did you see the difference? See the no mask thing. And you see all these particles over here and here are coming from near the nose. Now, I have my mask over here. There are ways to wear it. I mean, if I wear it like this and clip the nose well, then it's fine. I should not, if I wear lenses, they should not be fogged. These are releasing droplets over here. So it's also important to wear a mask properly. And then N95, you hardly see anything. Huge difference. That's why government has been saying, and everyone has been saying, wear masks. And it does not spoil your looks. Okay. Well-being, physical and mental without paranoia. And now this applies a lot on me. I have been working on this, but have not achieved the perfect success or balance. I don't know when that will come, but it's important for mental well-being. We cannot go too far on anything. We eat the right fruits, we exercise, we avoid junk food, clean, oral hygiene, good proteins, good vegetables, take a good schedule, avoid canned foods, socialize, talk to people, very important. Emotional distancing should be avoided at all costs. That is a leading cause of suffering for everyone today. Read. These are healthy things. There are a lot of healthy hormones which make you feel good. And higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormones, actually impairs the immunity. A good sleep cycle is important for the body to function naturally, healthily. There is a balance and you need to find yours. Each one needs to find his or hers. We cannot get paranoid that, oh my God, I came from here and I have to just, steam for 5 hours, keep sanitizing. Everything in extreme is not good. Sanitizers, too much spraying, that's also not good. You're inhaling artificial, ethyl alcohol and all that. People have died by drinking it. I mean, what are they thinking? But maybe it could be lack of knowledge, or you don't know. Will there be a third wave? I'll just say one sentence. If every one of us wears mask sincerely for 1 month, COVID is gone from the nation. Every one of us. Now that is the big question. Every one of us. We get tired, but just 1 month of strong determination by everyone will get rid of us, of this virus. Things which we took for granted. I conveyed in a video I published on YouTube last year that please take care at the beginning of the lockdown. Please take care. The things which we take for granted will not be accessible to us. We won't be able to go out, and that's what happened. And this is not from any movie. This is happening. Responsible, conscious, natural. Now, responsible, conscious, natural is a big thing. How? I'll come to that. Let me, in fact, go to the next slide so that everyone can relate. This is a chart I made as a compilation of all of the things. See, everything is connected. We are an overpopulated, leak to the planet currently. And we don't want to get the planet's immune response. The planet's immune response is too much for us, too much for anything. Okay. And nature will take care of itself. Overpopulation. brings industries, brings pollution, brings encroachment. Industries bring more encroachment. We need more resources because of overpopulation. We more need there is more encroachment. There is pollution, encroachment, then again disease, pollution, then again disease. Now, disease and disease spread are two different things. Disease is born. Disease spread is something different. Unrestricted urbanization, urban heat island. Now, urban heat island is something which has been observed since last 50 years, that the local temperatures in the city are much higher on average than the surrounding villages. And I have actually done some research on this, and you will not believe it, but nearby Delhi, nearby Jaipur, -5, -6 degrees temperatures have been recorded officially every year, but does not happen in the city. Urban heat island causes a lot of unnatural heating. This actually, I'll just give an example that this allows chikungunya and dengue infested mosquitoes to breed and survive into the next season. They can lay their eggs which survive in the city, but not in the villages. Dengue and chikungunya were unheard of 20 years back, and dengue probably was, but it was not as widespread. And chikungunya was fairly new, and then it's just started, and it's an urban phenomena mostly. Again, causing unrestricted urbanization, which again is linked to global warming over here, urban heat island. Global warming again causes extreme heat, cold, floods, which prompts us again, if it's extremely hot, if it's 50 degrees, you will come inside and turn on your AC. I mean, it will be a crime for someone to come. No, AC will cause the environment harm. Oh man, you need to at least live to think about environment tomorrow. Of course, 50 degrees, you need air conditioner. But how much more? Then they release excess heat, more urban heat island, more resources, more industries, again encroachment. Then indoor environment is a big factor for disease spread, as we saw previously. And pollution is a big factor for disease spread, as we saw previously. These all factors support each other. We can break anyone which we have in our control. Extreme heat, extreme cold, we don't have in our control directly. Yes, we don't. That's where I come back to the previous slide. A local chain. This is a village where the solar panels are providing electricity to the village. This is a rainwater structure providing water to the village, the borewell as well. And then there are cows, and then which provide milk, and then there's farming which provide organic food as much as possible. Global chain is not bad. I will say this, it's not bad, but we need to be conscious of our choices. See, money making should be one of our priorities. It's very important to make money, but we must think of long term. We must think of our children. Generations will come. Things are changing very rapidly, very, very rapidly. We need to just reflect. So if you take anything, you just put, for example, I'm using this steel bottle over here for water, and just go into anything, and where was it made? Where did it come from? Imagine the amount of carbon it caused. Imagine the amount of water which was used for making it. For anything. If this mask was made here in a local village, okay. If this mask was imported from another nation, do I really want to do that? And am I really in need of using, artificial plastic containers? Can I keep wood? Everything matters. Small choices create big impacts if done in mass. See, one air conditioner running has not mattered, but really so many air conditioners and artificial structures building and running together have caused a major urban heat island. As I said, difference of 10 degrees between the city and village. Unlivable also almost in the summer. during these 2 last years, actually, because of lockdown, there has been interesting trend that the summer has not gone down, has not gone so high, extreme. And then there is, the weather is also not as per ideal. 2 cyclones this year. Sea is unnaturally warming. A higher pressure reduces the moisture carrying ability of the air, creates extremes. We can go into details how it does. But the thing is, each of us can do certain things. We go back to this DMDV model. DMDV model, just follow it. Just blindly follow it. Please just follow it. Don't worry. Go out to work, but just follow this model for some time. Think, where are you talking to people? Is your chamber absolutely closed? Then put on an additional mask. It won't do any harm. How much your time you're spending with it, someone, and how far away you are talking to him or her. Sorry. No paranoia, please. I'm working on it myself. But we think better. We think of solutions better. I mean, there are so many brilliant people sitting here in this Zoom call. Brilliant people sitting everywhere in the world. If we reduce our paranoia, and each of us is paranoid in some or the other way, each of us is obsessed in some or the other way, we can think of better solutions. I know that there is yogurt, milk, and cheese over here, and then I'm saying that use local resources, but these can be generated locally. If you can, try to find authentic sources. Physical well-being, exercise. Please exercise. Everyone must exercise. And finally, let Earth not flare up its immune system. This chart relates everything to everything. Hopefully, I may have missed on many things. The beautiful handwriting is actually my wife's, but I cannot write like this. But these are all factors connected to each other. And even if we, pull one down, others will crumble slowly but surely. Just pull one down. We can. This is the last slide. You see in the question mark what it looks like and what it looks like over here. This is in our hand. Walk, bike, be natural, be as natural as possible. Don't push yourself too much. Slow, eventual steps, step by step, calmly. We can still control it. We are still far from climate change becoming a really big catastrophe, but don't let that line let us take things for granted. It's important to become an actual smart society now, so think of everything, think of our choices, think of sourcing, and think of long-term profitability. Long-term profitability will be more sustainable in terms of health, well-being, and financially. So this is it for my presentation. I would thoroughly enjoy detailed question answer session and whatever the audience wants to share. I hope there are more things I can explain if you want to know about the virus structure or something else. Just you can ask me. There are some things I know, some things I won't, but there are experts also sitting among us. So let's start the open discussion now. Yes.
Hi,
Yes.
Kartikeya.
Hi, Megha ji.
Hi. Can I start?
Yeah.
because I know other people also might have questions.
Yeah.
First thing, I loved your presentation.
Thank you.
Very interesting. The best part was it was very positive, because we all need to be very positive right now. And I am a very, very positive person. So I
I know
really
that.
appreciate this. I appreciate the way you put things. But you know, this COVID has got me thinking also in many ways. You know, there have been cases when my own father-in-law, he got 2 vaccinations and then got COVID. My own
Okay.
parents got 1 vaccine and then they got COVID. People who've not moved out of their homes, I think a lot of people have unmuted. So people,
Hey, go on. I heard.
elderly people who've not moved out of their homes for like months, no outside interaction, they got COVID. And people who are out there every day, taking swabs for COVID tests, they are free from COVID. So this COVID honestly has no logic to it. you know
There is one logic.
yeah,
Everybody's immune response is different. Everybody's.
sure,
Yours
I
and
agree,
mine and
yes.
me and another person of the same age. Our immune responses are different. There are a lot of things going on in the body every day, throughout the day, throughout the night. And
Yes,
what you eat, no two people eat the same thing. No two people breathe the
sure,
same air. No two people have the same hormones released because of their thinking. You know,
yes.
everybody's immune response is different. So I will not say that they still were careless or something, but maybe a
Ah,
viral load. You know, Wikipedia said that 1,000 viral particles are required for usually an infection to start. Maybe for them 500 were sufficient. Maybe for
yes.
some to 5,000 are not sufficient. We don't know.
Yeah.
Virus is a very small thing. It's much smaller than a bacteria. Viruses actually infect bacterias. You know,
Ah,
so
acha.
it's viruses have been a study topic of research for scientists, epidemiologists, virologists since ages, and we know very less. It's an RNA. So under ki we there's a coding of our body, and it just changes some coding of the body, and the cell replicates viruses, and then ultimately the
Sure.
cell dies until the immune system kicks in.
And also about so much information bombardment that has happened post COVID. There's so much information. Sometimes they say this is if your CT value is 10, then you are in danger, you need to be hospitalized. So I had COVID. My husband had COVID. We both had CT, matlab HRCT values of 10 and 7, and we were asked to overnight be hospitalized, and we were given remdesivir and steroids and all those things. Then first they give you antibiotic, then they give you probiotic. First they give you steroids, and then they give you blood thinners. And they give you insulin because steroids will increase your sugar. So this is and you are so, I was scared because I didn't know what to do. So then the doctor said that you have to be admitted and all these meds have to be administered. One didn't know what to do. I would have not wanted to go to the hospital, and I would have wanted to heal myself naturally. But I was in panic mode. And I thought, पता नहीं क्या ही हो जाएगा नहीं करेंगे तो हॉस्पिटल भागे, ये सब लिया, इतने मेडिकेशंस लिए जो लाइफ में कभी नहीं लिए 5 दिन के अंदर. तो अब पता नहीं उसकी जरूरत थी या नहीं, पता ही नहीं मतलब.
Well, yeah, I understand panic mode causes that, but
Sorry, can I intervene?
yeah,
Yes,
sure,
please,
sir.
sir.
Dr.
Rajesh ji.
Rajesh.
Yes, please.
Actually, problem is very different. What you were talking about your personal experience, but you
Yes.
should realize there were so many cases, and only very few were coming to hospital. Hardly say 2% of those infected persons were coming to hospital, and out
हाँ.
of those, hardly 2% of those patients had died. So COVID is not that bad. It takes toll. Number one. Number two is we are still in a learning phase of this COVID-19.
Yes.
There was no treatment available for us. So whatever things were coming to us, we were trying to treat them accordingly. Till today, there is no antiviral antidote available to us except vaccine. And what the suggestion is that even after taking 1 or 2 doses of vaccination, somebody gets me infected. Yes, definitely. But problem is different. If person will be infected, that will be less severe. possibility of death is minuscule. So we are preventing death and severe illnesses by giving vaccine. It's not that you will never be infected after taking that. Like in the smallpox, you might have got a smallpox vaccine is still infected, but then disease become very mild. So that takes
Sure.
little less toll on the body, on the nation, on the economy, everything. The vaccine part is that. And as far as treatment is concerned, we are still learning, so I cannot comment on this thing. After 3-4 years, we will definitely know these are the medicines which can use. You should realize that the AIDS vaccine is not available till today. So the scientists have done wonderful thing. The vaccine is available within 1.5 years for this COVID. We are thankful to them. We all are vaccinated in our family. My in-laws, they were vaccinated, and they are older person, and they all survived this exposure of COVID-19. They were not sick. So the vaccine is okay. That's good.
Sure.
Remdesivir, steroid, Eliquis. This is all part of what comes and what we can do. What is giving us result, we are using.
So the good part is now I know the names of all the medicines. So
They are not all the medicines. Sorry,
I mean COVID related.
there are 60,000 formulas in India at the moment.
Yes, just COVID related. I'm saying yes. So
I had a
Karthik, can
question.
you please share this presentation
I'm
also?
Can I
Yeah,
speak?
I will. Don't worry. I had a question from Miss Hitakshi ji. I think Hitangshi ji. She asked, is there any specific reason why most viruses prefer mammals as hosts? Okay. So the reason I have actually talked about mammals is not that viruses prefer mammals. Virus will prefer a host where it can survive. Okay. So it depends on each. It's not always mammals. Snakes have viruses. Snakes have many harmful viruses. There are reptiles, many other reptiles also. If the cell division and the antibody and the immune response of the host is something like that, the virus can also survive, then it can actually host in it for generations. And bat is such a unique creature. Viruses do not preferably go towards mammals only. They are everywhere.
Karthik, the thing is, the virus always need a host.
Exactly.
Mosquito is a host for dengue virus.
Exactly.
So it is a host, but
yes,
somebody's food may be somebody else's poison.
Exactly.
So till the dengue virus is in mosquito, it is okay. Mosquito will not be dying. But if he bit some human being, then he transfer those virus and human gets infected. So virus will need definitely some host where it can live, where it can multiply.
We have a question from Brij Bihari ji. There is Brij Bihari. Brij Bihari ji, can you unmute yourself, sir?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Sir, you are muted. Sir, you are muted.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
So, congratulations to you, Karthik. Nice presentation, well researched.
Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to add to the discussion that was going on. Me and my wife had both the doses, and the second day we had COVID.
Okay.
So what I learned was that before vaccination, it is better to check your status.
Yes.
You do RT-PCR and ensure that you do not have COVID before vaccination. And then after vaccination, you must isolate yourself for 7 days. That I think is the sure way to avoid COVID after vaccination. So that's the input. That is what I personally learned.
That is a really good input, sir. That is a really good input. Yes.
Actually, I had to be hospitalized for 11 days. And in between, I was critical also. But later on, when I, analyzed the whole situation, then maybe we caught the virus in one of the meeting, and then I had the vaccination. So we had the virus in us, and vaccination reduces your immunity for temporarily. And that is why you get the COVID. Thank you.
Okay, sir. We have a question from Chitral. Just a second. He says, as COVID has been spreading in the rural areas lately, can you touch upon the reasons for the spread? Is it just the lack of health infrastructure? Okay, so this is a debatable question. I cannot answer it precisely. But actually, if so many rural people go to work in the city every day to get their daily income, and you can't stop that. Even today, even in this lockdown, the labor and those industries were not stopped. Production where these people get their daily wages, they were not stopped, because there are still doorways. If each of them is wearing mask and taking care, then it's a different case. But then there are some rural households where they live in a very small room, and rural areas are also becoming urbanized with copying the architecture of the cities. There were if you go to see an old building, Hawa Mahal or something like that, the beautiful thing about those buildings are that there's a natural ventilation, and there were no extremes of temperature. It was natural cooling. We are adapted to sweating, and right now one more thing is happening: the overall moisture content of the air is increasing as global warming is happening. So we are less able to cool ourselves, because we cool by sweating. That's our basic phenomena. So a lot of things are interlinked, but yes, there can be many reasons for this.
Karthikeya, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Karthikeya, I want to share one experience of one wave, first wave and the second wave. When the first wave happened, see, I'm running an organization where there are maybe 100 of people are working at the grassroots level, and they come from the community which is living very close slum, and that environment where isolation and those things are not possible. In the first wave duration, of course we were following. I was asking them to follow the protocol and everything, and they did for approximately 7-8 months. And then I inquired, and none of them got COVID. None. Even I asked about their family, and none in their family got COVID. And for 8 months I was isolated with my wife, and we were not going out for 8 months, and we both got COVID. So that is the one scenario on the first wave. And the second wave, it happened that again we continued operations, organization operations. But in the second wave, though most of the staff is quite young, they are below 40 years of age, but 3-4 people got COVID. Even children of 18 or 20 years, 1 or 2, 3-4 children also got COVID in the second wave, though they were living in a open environment. So what is the difference between these two waves? What could be the difference?
Since I know those two children personally, I can definitely confirm that they were going to school and meeting so many other children nearby in Achirol. So it could not, maybe they probably got it from there. And in the first wave, the testing rate was also really low. I think these two factors will
probably. Can I come in?
Yeah.
See, the virus mutates. It is style, and the lull phase of virus always gives it time to mutate and become more potent to infect more persons. So first wave was less lethal, and second wave become more lethal because virus mutated in the lull phase. There was a severe infection, then there was a lull phase. At that time, virus was mutating, and then it came with the vengeance and infection. Second is our behavior is also responsible for that. We are not following all those instructions which can help us. Wearing a mask and all these things. Still, yesterday I went to my hospital and I saw in the way people are not wearing masks. There is lot of rush on the shops. They are crowding. This is a definite breeding ground for another way. Not today, not tomorrow, maybe after 1, 2, 3 months. But it is going to happen. And it will be coming with the more vengeance. It will infect those persons who are neither vaccinated nor infected. So that is the way virus behaves.
Okay. Another question. Yes. Many people still don't have faith on vaccination, especially in rural areas. What do you think will be the best way to change their mindset? Well, I certainly agree that many people don't, as people are preferring to jump in the river rather than getting vaccinated. That was in the news. But the best way to change their mindset, I think, is just pure science, science education, science awareness, science literacy. Or not even that, just thinking scientifically. That's all. A basic approach, a basic understanding of what a vaccine is and why it should be taken. That's all. The vaccines are new. I mean, this is incredible achievement for us also. In 1 year, there are vaccines. But they are new. There may be vaccines with 100% efficacy very soon. We don't know. It's also people. The research is continuous. It's going on.
Karthik, can I come in? Brij Gupta.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On this point, I would like to say the vaccination is important. It is scientific, everything. But there are forces who are, trying to spread the confusion in the air and creating all sorts of misconceptions among the people that you will die. Like you also said that they will make us robot. So that is the situation. Actually, that somehow has to stop. The nation has to come together, and then maybe this misconception can be removed.
Absolutely, I agree. This is the challenge. This is the biggest challenge of our nation, I think. But I mean, I think it's important to address the young generation now more. I mean, because the young generation can become a super spreader or can become a super preventer. This has been observed in the past also, and I hope young people do significant about. I mean, try to understand it scientifically.
We have faith. We should have faith among our youngsters, among our rural brothers. We have eradicated smallpox, polio. It's all with the help of youngsters and the rural population. So there is nothing to worry. It may take some time, but ultimately we are going to win.
Can I come back to one more thing? We are talking about climate change also. We have induced so many things through our behavior to support the birth of this pandemic. I mean, I said that I will not go into any political issue or agenda over here, but one thing I am certain about is that the virus, when it came out into the public, I was aware of the virus since January 2020. And when it came out in the public, actually, the virus was there much before that. That I'm pretty confident about. So I'm not naming anything, but much more could have been done. So
keep away from jungle.
Hi Karthikeya, can I have one question, please?
Yes.
This is Varun Pathak.
Hi Varun. You're driving and seeing. Please focus
I'm
on the
driving.
road.
I am so enthusiastic about this presentation that I'm driving and I'm looking at this.
Please put your car on one side, Varun. This is important. Park on one side. Park, please park.
My question is, since you have pointed out that this virus is continuously mutating, right?
Yeah.
And the vaccine has been in work for last few months. So how is it possible to keep in tune with this virus? Because, by the time the vaccine is rolled out, the virus has already mutated itself. So how are we keeping in, pace with the virus?
Okay, so there is like an arms race, like between two countries. One has nuclear weapons, another is making another kind of nuclear weapons, like that. So there is continuous research on the new variants, and then a vaccine, whether it is working or not, or it should be modified. But so far, I mean, let's look at the double mutant version. So double mutant is it has two spike proteins, and Varun, I'm really scared. Please put on a go and park your car once, please.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, stop, or don't look at me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, like, there was a double mutant version in the Indian variant, many people said, but the B12, I don't remember the technical name. So, double mutant is that it has two spike proteins instead of one at one junction. But either of the two, there is the ACE receptor, there is like a lock and key. So, it has two keys, but is the lock same? That is the most important thing. So we are also putting the same key, not the lock, but both the keys are same. So we are putting another similar copy of the key. So the lock will recognize it. Okay, we have to keep this key out or whatever. So the second key, similar to the first key, double mutant, is similar to the first key. So that one will also stay out. Okay.
Okay.
Till now, fortunately, we have not had such mutations on which no vaccine is absolutely not working. Even if it works less, the efficacy is less, it still generates an antibody response, immune response to a good degree. And the main aim of vaccination is not that you never catch it, but that the severity and the probability of severity lowers down. That
means the vaccine will still stay effective, you mean to say?
Yes, it will stay. Okay. How effective will change, but it will be effective.
Okay.
Thank you for stopping the car. You can drive if you are only listening.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Nice presentation, by the way.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Karthikeya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for registering by paying a nominal amount. The thing is, might have been free also, but the thing is, I have found that because of course I was collecting data since 1 year, and there's a lot more data. If you want, I can give you a lot of other sources, but it's not only that. I had everyone's attention. I had everyone's full focus. So thank you very much for that privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karthikeya, for nice presentation.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I can still take questions for 7-8 minutes if anyone wants.
Thank you, Karthikeya.
Thank you, Lochan sir.
Can you?
Yeah, Priyanka ji.
Yeah. So I just want to understand one thing is I wrote my question in the chat box also. I think you missed it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's basically yeah. So I just wanted to ask people who have been safe till now with COVID in the first wave and second wave. Are they going to be more susceptible in the next wave, even if they are fully vaccinated?
Now, this is a very interesting question, very important one. No one knows how long the immune response lasts. No one knows. Go to the WHO website, go to CDC, go to ICMR.
No, but these people are not infected. They have never had infection of COVID. So I think it is going to... Those who have not had COVID till now, in the first wave and the second wave, people who are able to, somehow avoid COVID.
And they vaccinate. And they vaccinate, right?
And they are fully vaccinated, yes.
If they are fully vaccinated, they will develop antibodies.
Yeah.
That is the simple, you can get it tested by a blood test that how many COVID antibodies you have.
Okay, again, getting tested by via blood test, because a lot of people, including Dr. Fahim Yunus, says that no need to get your antibody tested if you have done the vaccination, because your immune response is sum total of a lot of other things except the antibodies in your body. Sorry. So I don't know. So I just wanted to just check that because how it is going to impact in the further waves, because I think third wave is going to be there because we are not vaccinated, and we have to open up the country now, and all the states have started opening up. So that's why I just wanted to check.
The Spanish flu weakened. That time the vaccine was not there, but the flu itself mutated into a weak form, and it slowly disappeared. That happens with COVID. Wonderful, but we don't know what will happen now. Vaccine should protect. I would say it should protect. The duration is still debatable. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. It was so enjoyable, and
Thank
just
you.
love the slides.
Thank you. I hope we all take actions where we can.
Yeah.
Any other question? We have any other question? If I may have missed anything. Shishir, although I do believe one.
Yes, there is one question in the chat box. Please see.
Okay.
Karthikeya, can I ask one question, please? If
Yeah,
that's
sure,
okay.
Sure.
Karthikeya, I wanted to ask, I am aware, they are rolling out these vaccination for children. Pfizer's kind of in the US, they have started doing it. I just wanted to, because everybody says children are not susceptible to, not as susceptible, or it's not as severe for children to contract COVID. And they can contract COVID, they are spreaders, but not really victims, if you can say, it's not fatal or too deadly for them. Could you just share with me why is their immune response in general compared to the adult population? Do you have any thoughts on that you can share?
Yeah, sure. So the virus tries to find a cell where it can go and infect, right? And it has been confirmed that it infects the ACE2 receptor, Astig9 enzyme receptor. Forget the full name, all it's just not memorized. Those are in linings of our intestines, in lungs, in lot of body parts, and where it gets the chance, it just goes and infects. And then how sick you get depends on your immune response. So it's not that children are not particularly susceptible. There is coughing, sneezing, and even low-grade fevers in children. And from some sources, I'll not name, but they've said that there have been severe cases in children also. But the density of I think there is a child with you, so that makes the
sorry
all the more relevant.
She's with me, but
yeah. So how much the immune response is developed when the infection happens, like in a 16-year-old and in a 10-year-old, in both cases the immune response will be very different. And then from a 10-year-old to a 3-year-old, the immune response will be very different. Immunity develops, at birth we have very low immunity. That is why it's very important for a newborn to get breastfed immediately after birth, within the first 2 hours, because it carries these valuable antibodies. And then by 6 months there are more antibodies developed to more pathogens. The behavior of a child of eating mud is actually nature's way of this will be hard to hear, of survival of the fittest. Okay.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. But because then if you have antibodies, you evolve. There are evolutionary lines which have been channeled by medical science, which would have not existed. Many of us would not have existed had medical science not progressed the way it has. That is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we must be aware of the changes. We must be responsible. We must take care of our body to not further evolve defects, because every behavior affects genes. But
Yes.
digressing from the topic, the immune response is different at all ages. 6 months.
Absolutely. And that's what I think. Like, I would think if I and my child is susceptible, is exposed to the same virus, because I have been immunized, given all the vaccine, she's just a 2-year-old, 2.5 years old. She's still getting her doses. She's not been fully vaccinated. She would be more susceptible to these viruses. But in general, we have seen the number of deaths in small children is marginally very low compared to those in the adults. So that's like, I would always, my first instinct is to go and protect my child rather than, protect myself as a mother. So that's why, like, it's just odd and counterintuitive when I see that children, their immune response is such that the number of children who are exposed, it's not fatal for them compared to if you take the same population for adults. So it's just counter, as as I mentioned earlier. So that's all. But
Yeah.
Brilliant presentation, Karthike. It has been fantastic. And yeah, I look forward to, hopefully you'll have some sort of series or something. And it would be great to follow you and, these series. I'm very interested on these topics, and especially climate change. It's a big focus for the bank that I work for also. So it's definitely getting a lot of, talk, and hopefully some action soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hi, Karthike ji. I'm Hitangshi.
Hi.
And well, I'm just a student. So there were a few very far-fetched ideas that came in my mind.
No. You students give the best ideas. I said that COVID-19India.org was designed by when he was a student. He's, I think, 23 years old and still pursuing something. So students give the best ideas. Please.
So I have a question here with respect to what Apeksha ji said right now. We actually are in an assumption that kids and basically children maybe below the age of 12 or 13 aren't affected that much. But what would you say about the recent case in Ahmednagar district in Maharashtra, where 6,000 kids, actually more than that, 9,000 came tested positive at once. So would you say there's a change in the pattern of the way COVID is responding if there is a mutation, and has much research been done on that?
I did glance through that news article. I think it came yesterday only. So actually, how many of those were serious? I was not able to get it. I mean, the testing positive is something different. And what were the viral loads too? So
I am sorry, because I stay in Mumbai, Maharashtra, so I have an idea about it. Almost all the cases were, asymptomatic. Nobody was serious in that. So that is what I wanted to say.
Okay.
That has been clarified by the government over here.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Hitangshi?
Does, but this does tell us that there are chances that the third wave is around the corner, right?
See, in my presentation, I was focused on one thing, which is probability. Okay. And we can only reduce the probability. It cannot be 0. It cannot be 100. Now, a vaccinated person will have less chances of symptoms, less chances of the viral load spreading too much, thus less chances of spreading the virus also. Okay. How the children's immune response works, in this case, asymptomatic. If someone is near you and just sitting quietly, as we saw in that video, that if speaking throws so much virus, coughing throws millions. So if someone is coughing and someone is just speaking, there is a huge difference whether it can be made a wave or not. So it's all probability, Hitangshi.
That's right, absolutely.
This asymptomatic thing is really very tricky. So that is the case with my husband also. He just randomly had that antibody test that let me get it checked that if I have antibodies or not. So fun fact is that he had antibodies. Okay, and he, God's grace, he never had any such kind of infection or any such kind of things which could let us know that yes, he had been suffering through this. So this asymptomatic thing is like that कि हमें पता ही नहीं है अंदर क्या चल रहा है, and God's grace अगर होकर के निकल गया है तो वो वाली चीजें हैं, तो it's all
Right.
unpredictable.
We will be, just a reminder, we'll be closing the session in 4 minutes. So if we have any last question, 5:40, we will be closing the session. So yeah, you were saying?
Is it possible that because there are random mutation patterns and it is mutating like pretty quickly, is there a possibility that because they would have to modify vaccines, it would become a regular thing for us to take specific doses like we have our booster vaccines?
Oh, I think it will be from depends on the length of the immune response. But I think for 3-4 years we are going to have a corona shot every year, like flu shot is there in America for rhinoviruses. This is a different family, that is coronaviruses. So yeah.
In the UK, they are already doing this. They are already, getting the over 50s in line for the booster shot for corona. Just an information or a key fact here. So yeah, it's already in progress, and the idea is to keep it going for a couple of years as per the UK government.
Okay. Any further questions?
Hi Karthikeya, this is Rajiv Kohli here.
Hello sir.
How are you?
I'm absolutely fine.
Great. So it was really a wonderful treat for me to go through your presentation, and the contents what you have shown here was really mind-boggling, keeping in mind the responsibility we do all have now to take care of climate change, which of course you said is not so close to us right now. But I think each and every day, each and every single step towards a better tomorrow will certainly delay the next wave even, which may be seen very close by. So thank you for the wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed thoroughly. And just one thing which I have in my mind is how it is very difficult to confirm that patient is really having a lung disease or he is really affected by COVID. Because there is a lot of confusion. The death happened, the fatality happened due to COVID or because of some lung infection. Patient is not COVID positive. He is negative, but still he died. So how it is been demarcated? A lot of confusion is there actually.
Right, you are absolutely right. There is confusion.
Yes, this is true.
Actually, people are dying out of pollution, but I cannot give you a figure. Because if the pollution is the initial cause and that led to other things being, less a common cold just being very severe, then a common cold did not kill the person.
Yeah, fear psychosis itself is taking its toll, I think.
Absolutely. Things are psychosomatic. So if I truly believe that I'm going to develop a fever and I touch myself after some time, I may start feeling okay, I'm okay. In the first wave, I was every day in the morning, I was checking my throat. Okay, I feel something. And before that, it was like that only. So yes, these are factors which affect. I cannot answer your question precisely because this is up to, the last registration format of the disease, that the COVID is death or something else.
Correct.
Human factor is also involved in so many places. There's so much data, so much statistics.
Correct. And beside these COVID cases, now we have very colorful funguses coming into our life. And some of these colorful funguses are really fatal.
Yeah.
I don't know how we are going to tackle it, keeping in mind the scarcity of the COVID medicines itself, how we will cope up with the antifungal drugs, which are again in scarcity.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So I think the best thing is prevention. The old saying is very, very important to all of us. Prevention is always better than cure. So let's have a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And thank you once again. I would like to end up my talk right now. Thank you so much for your valuable presentation, Karthikeya. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Thank
Hello,
you.
Karthikeya. Before you close, I just have one suggestion that
Yeah.
it is. I think these kind of presentations or these kind of talk should be given to people who can really make a difference, such as policy makers or maybe government or somebody who the people who matter. I think try to find a way to reach them so that what we are talking of second wave or third wave or fourth wave or maybe many such kind of epidemic pandemic. I think you should try to seriously um, work on that directions, and I think take young people together. So that is what my suggestion would be, and
Yes,
thank you
sir.
very much
No,
for
you.
excellent presentation.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. 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 So I take all the valuable suggestions. And I think we are going to close now. If no one has any other questions, um, Zafir just joined, I think. Zafir is Zafir is a young guy who actually created a science curiosity group for the
Yes.
entire world, and he leads many science forums. Um, I will share the presentation with Zafir. I think there was a
Yeah,
confusion.
he has just joined the
Yeah.
meeting.
So
He's
anyway,
writing in the chat room. He's writing certain messages in the chat room.
okay. So if no one has any other questions, we'll just
Uh,
wait for 2 minutes.
I just have this one last question from my side,
Yeah.
and because it basically was environment related, I have a question that's based a lot on theory. When we hear about mass extinctions, though we know that they have come and gone, but you cannot predict its pattern. How much do you think pandemics, when we compare it to a mass extinction, it's a very small footprint, but how much do you think pandemics such as this can contribute to a mass extinction? Although change is always constant.
In uh, in 2 years, given the current population, about 1%. But in 50, 60 years, a huge chunk can go. Then mass extinction can happen. But immediately, as per my analysis, what I have done, that is not right at the horizon, but it's a possibility. There were mass extinction events in the past, even up to a point when about 1500 humans were left in Africa. This was, I don't remember exactly, but there have been, because global changes and meteor strikes, these natural things happen. And there are other correlated factors also. I mean, there is a point in the galaxy where the solar system is at, and then it goes around every 65 million years and comes in a junction where there are more asteroids. So there will be a meteor strike, more probability over there at that time, and then there will be mass extinction event. A lot of things are affecting, but we live in a small scale, short scale, whereas just a speck. What we can do now can be the focus. And fortunately, in this small speck, in this small timeline, we are not so close to a mass extinction as per my analysis of the data I have studied. Okay, not so close, but we are very close to a health crisis because of climate change. That is something, and economic crisis. So mass extinction is a very different case.
Thank you so much for your answer.
Sure. Okay, this is the last question from Zafir. So I have an interesting question that many people can think of it. With all the problems with corona, do you think people's behavior will change as a result of the current pandemic in ways that positively or negatively impact the environment? Okay, maybe behavior is far-fetched, but do you think people gearing towards green energy alternatives will lead to a reduction in climate change effects and minimize the risk of virus formation or even mutation? Okay, so for Zafir, I'm just showing one screen, which I was in my presentation, just the last screen, and then we will close this. I think that will give an idea to Zafir. But Zafir, your answer is yes. I think green energy will definitely reduce chances of everything happening. So I'll just share the presentation once more. Just a second. Zafir, this is a chart I had prepared, and you can see how everything is correlated. So if you encroach less, you give less pollution, by promoting renewable energy, a lot of the other links go down. Okay, so it's connected, and your answer is yes. And because we are short of time, I will answer that in detail personally to you later. But right now we are going to have to close the session. All right. Thank you everyone very much for joining. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad we are all together in this fight. And let's just keep socializing like this. That I think will help. Raghav, did you have any question? Last one I can take from you.
No.
You just turned on your camera.
No, thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Please personally message me for a recording of the session. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.